Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, how are we getting on? Welcome to a brand new Fallout 76 news video. Today, the public test server returns. We're taking a look at all of the new features that will be arriving in the December update, which is what we will be testing over the next few months. So, let's jump into Bethesda's new blog post, shall we? Okay then, so following on from video earlier in the week with a little bit of an update on the roadmap, got a few things delayed there, so obviously we'll be touching on that later on in this, as I predicted it in that one, but if you do want to see it in a bit more detail, link up in the corner. But we have Inside the Vault, diving into Night of the Moth, PTS Playtesting, a lot of P's in there. So, this week's edition of Inside the Vault, we're sharing a look at everything that's on the way in the public test server when we reopen it to begin Night of the Moth update playtesting a little later today. We've also revisited the community calendar with updates to our schedule through to the end of the year. So, the community calendar obviously being the one with the sort of weekend events and seasonal events listed on it, as opposed to the roadmap, which was the whole kind of general plan for the year. So both have had a little update, not massively significant in terms of the community calendar, but I will touch on that obviously, and there's a couple of bits that I will want to point out as well with a little optimism to them, so that's cool. So, PTS Returns. As mentioned above, we are planning to reopen the public test server today to begin playtesting of our Night of the Moth update. This time you'll be able to try out a new Mothman-themed seasonal event, public events adjustments, and a host of community-requested quality of life improvements. We are currently targeting December to release this update for the live game, and will greatly appreciate any feedback and bug reports you are able to share with us while the PTS is online. Read on to catch an overview of what's in the PTS, and post your thoughts alongside other playtesters in the PTS channels of the Bethesda Studios Discord server. Link in this post, which as per usual, down below. So, Mothman Equinox seasonal event. This is the big thing. It's the new seasonal event, and there's some cool stuff in here. It looks like it might be interesting and fun. That's a nice picture to go with it, actually. I like that. So, looking forward to this. It should be interesting, and my guess was a little off with it, which is cool. However, there's also some other stuff affecting seasonal events that we'll get to in a minute that might be interesting too, so, well, fingers crossed anyway. So, the planets are aligning, and a group of the wise Mothman's most devoted followers, known as the Enlightened, have travelled from afar to reach Point Pleasant. So, having a Mothman event focused on Point Pleasant, not that surprising, it makes sense. Given it's the Enlightened Mothman, I was expecting the Lighthouse though, but we do already have one event taking place there featuring him, so... the Wise Mothman, rather, I should say. So, there they intend to perform a ritual that will summon the Wise Mothman during a peak of his power. Every hour during this seasonal event, you can venture to Point Pleasant to aid the Enlightened in completing this dark ceremony. However, this will be no easy task, as you'll also need to fend off rival Mothman cultist groups who will seek to stop you. As well, if you're a curious type, you may find that poking around Point Pleasant during the seasonal event may enlighten you to the mysterious origins behind our newest Mothman fanatics. Cool. While the Mothman Equinox event is live, you'll also encounter hostile cultist high priests throughout Appalachia who can bend the will of nearby creatures to do their bidding. Stop the cult from spreading their influence by taking down any high priests you meet. When you do, you'll be able to loot them for a chance to earn rare item plans. So this is quite a multifaceted one, which is cool. Seems to pull from bits of a couple of events, or some of the concepts that work in a couple of other events, and put them together in a whole new styled and themed package, which is quite cool. So yeah, a few people said they were hoping to avoid another on-the-hour event like Meat Week. Okay, that's what this is going to be. It's going to be an on-the-hour thing, fine. But it's kind of bringing in an element of Hunt for the Treasure Hunter with the mole miners, in that the high priests are going to be spread out around Appalachia during the event, and you can hunt them down for loot and plans, as well as, presumably, completing the main event as well. So it's going to be not just the individual event itself, but also something that will affect the whole map as well, which is cool. That's definitely very, very fun. I like that vibe. So, public event improvements. So, this is where we get into the quality of life improvements, which are, in a large part, the dominating aspect of this update. I don't know if there's going to be more beyond this. I assume there will also be the usual raft of bug fixes that there always are when a new update goes live, but the big ones are here. So, the first one is public event improvements, and yeah, all of these updates look really, really cool and well worth having. I'm definitely happy to see them coming. So we're bringing a variety of improvements to public events with this update. But first, we are streamlining the way that public events become available by making the cooldown times between events much more consistent, and preventing the same public event from appearing twice in a row in the same world. That second thing, not such a big issue as far as I'm concerned. I don't feel like you get the same one coming up over and over and over back to back very often anyway. Some people may have a different experience, but generally it's not too bad. But standardising the cooldown timers for different public events should, in theory, mean less downtime or less gaps where there are no public events coming up. Because sometimes when you're particularly looking for them, especially if you wanted to chase down legendary cores, you can do a couple and then they'll just stop coming for a while, presumably because everything that hasn't been up recently is just still on cooldown. So if they standardise everything, hopefully that should mean a much more steady rate of appearance for public events, so that if you are actually intending to go out and farm these things, which is something that will be well worth doing in the coming months, then it should make it significantly easier to do that, which is really, really cool. Next, we are adding rewards information to the event description that appears after clicking a public event on the map, so that you can more easily see the types of loot you can earn from each event. So obviously, most of them will have the same base stuff in terms of legendary cores and stuff like that, but knowing that you've got a chance at certain rare things, and knowing what to look out for those plans that you might be missing, for example, is a pretty handy feature, I think. Finally, we are making a few balance changes to events that have historically been very difficult, like Radiation Rumble and Project Paradise, last too long, like Line in the Sand, or even end too quickly, like Tea Time. We've also fixed up several bugs that affected Swarm of Suitors and made some design tweaks to help revitalise that event. So yeah, I think this is probably going to be a good thing. With Radiation Rumble and Project Paradise, perhaps more Project Paradise than Radiation Rumble, although that too, it can often be quite hard to get those end event rewards, the Radiation Barrel and the hazmat suit, that's the word. In Radiation Rumble, a good example. It's very difficult to pick those up because most of the time you don't hit that final level of completion just because people want to farm it for XP. So it can be difficult to get those things. So making it more possible to do that is a good thing. And with Project Paradise, same sort of thing. It's hard to get those high tier of completions unless you've got several groups, really, of players who really know what they're doing. So bringing that a bit down a bit might mean that players who are a bit more casual or less group-centric perhaps might have a better chance at getting those rare rewards from those events, especially as certainly Project Paradise has had nuclear winter rewards added into it. Making it a more viable prospect is definitely a welcome thing, I think. Not too sure on the Tea Time one though. I don't really feel like that's too short. It does often cut off with a fair bit of the timer left on it, but if they extend it too far I feel like it might just drag out a bit. I feel like it's kind of got a good balance already, but we'll wait and see. I'm sure they've tested this thing out and will continue to test it, obviously, with the PTS, so it'll be interesting to see what they've got in mind for that. And bug fixes on Swarm of Suitors and revitalising it. Yeah, that's got to be good as well, because it's a bit bland. I mean, you can jump in there solo, just blast through it and get through the thing in under a minute, really, so it definitely needs a fresh coat of paint, so that's cool. So, other cool stuff that's coming. Quality of life improvements, such as corpse highlights. You can see that in this picture here. That is very, very cool. And notice that there are two different sort of colours there. It's subtle, but it's there. So, you've just dropped that legendary feral ghoul, but wait, where's his body? Was it over there? No, perhaps it's over here. We've all been there before, hunting through tall grass, trying to find a foe's final resting place so we can get our loot and head back to camp. In this update, we're adding highlights that will help you more easily spot nearby creature corpses, so that you can spend more time adventuring and less time searching for your hard-earned loot. In addition, normal and legendary creatures have different highlight colours, so that you can tell them apart more easily. So, that's what we're seeing in the picture here. So yeah, definitely a good little change. It's nobody's favourite thing to lose that enemy that you're hunting around for and that sort of thing. Obviously it's going to make the ground glow like crazy in events like Radiation Rumble, but everywhere else it should be pretty handy, I think, this. And it's not overdone either, it's not too bright, it's not like it's illuminating the whole area, it's just sort of like the effect Berry Mentas and stuff like has like that, only slightly less ephemeral. But yeah, it looks good. I think that will be a very handy little feature. So, nearby corpse looting. This was one I speculated on earlier in the week. Wednesday, I think. And gotta say, nice to know I was right on that. And definitely a feature that has been, hoped for a long time, and I think we'll be all very happy to have. So, nearby corpse looting. Unlike many of the creatures that cross your path in the wasteland, you're a born survivor. Whenever corpses start to pile up, you'll no longer need to pick through each and every one to grab your loot. When viewing a fallen enemy's inventory, you can now see and collect all the goodies that all the creatures around you have dropped by hitting the Nearby Corpses button, which is not showing up on here. Oh, I see, it's across the top. That's interesting. You can tab through them effectively. They show up as separate tabs, or you can put them into a single thing and just loot everything from one sort of list, which is quite cool. Yeah, I like that. That's flexible, which is cool. That'll be particularly useful in something like Radiation Rumble as well, because you just be able to drop down, loot one corpse, and get everything you want out of the pile, which is really, really handy. That's definitely a nice quality of life change, and a really cool way of doing area loot that is well tailored to 76, because with most games where they have area looting as an option, usually you have to turn it on in the settings, but whatever. When you area loot, you just grab everything all at once, and then you have to wade through your inventory and sort it out if you want to do that. But this way you get to just kind of see everything and pick what you want without having to go corpse to corpse, which is a really good addition, whilst sort of letting you do that without doing the legwork as well from the look of this. So I'm liking this a lot. This is a really nice implementation of a much requested and very, very cool feature to have. So yeah, good on that one. That's definitely a good update. Very much fitting the quality of life description. Carrying on with that vibe, legendary loot sharing. Going forward, if you're within sight range of a legendary creature when it's killed, you'll be able to loot it. With this improvement, the days of trying to hit legendary enemies before they die, as well as waiting for other players to get their hits in before you land the killing blow, are over. So, awesome. You don't have to go running over there, you just have to be able to see the thing, or be within the range of seeing it. I don't know if the presence of a wall in between you and the enemy might prevent this from working or not. I'm guessing it's going to be more distance-based than literally line of sight thing, because that way if it's behind you, you can still loot it. So I'm thinking that's probably the way it's going to work. But yeah, very, very cool. We'll have to jump into the PTS and find out, I suppose, but being able to get access to those legendary creatures even if you don't hit them, and basically making sure you don't miss out, is definitely a welcome change. It'll streamline that system. No more sort of standing there in Uranium Fever emoting at people to come running over and get their hits in. You just batter the thing and then everybody can help themselves in their own sweet time, which is really cool. It's a good addition. The big question on it is for events that end with a legendary enemy, or things like, say, the Scorch's Queen and the like. Will you be able to get the loot from, say, the Scorch's Queen without really contributing to the event? Because, on the one hand, for most players, convenient if you're maybe a little late arriving or whatever. On the other hand, it's also going to encourage people to show up, go AFK, not contribute, and just reap the rewards, which is, in the past, not something they wanted to encourage, and generally not the best thing ever either. For events, you just wind up with people just sat around, particularly seasonal events, just kind of sat there doing nothing. And it's a little antisocial, at least. I mean, it doesn't really harm anything, so I suppose it's not that big a deal, really, but will be interesting to see how that actually pans out. So, Team XP sharing. Sharing is caring, and leveling up as you adventure with your team is about to get easier than ever. Every enemy that you or a teammate takes down will now grant XP to everyone on the team, so long as they are within sight range of the creature when it dies. So, you don't have to get your hits in on a creature to get your XP, you just have to be on a team with the people who do kill it. Great. Obviously, this is not going to work across the map. Your teammate can't be in Toxic Valley while you're down in the Cranberry Bog and you get XP. That's not going to be happening. But as long as you're together and actually sort of playing together, you should be getting XP for everybody's kills, and they should be getting XP for yours as well, which is cool. Definitely a nice little addition. So this one I'm less enamoured of, not bothered by it, but it's kind of neither here nor there so much for me, and that is a new tab being added to the build menu. So we're adding a new tab to your camp build menu, so that will display any new camp item plans you've learned during your current play session, as well as new camp items you've unlocked in the Atomic Shop. So yeah, nice. If you've just bought something and want to drop it into your camp, you can find it quickly. You're still going to have to figure out where it is in the regular menus, because it's not going to stay there once you start a new play session. So for future builds, anything like that, you're still going to have to do the legwork and find it. So it's not a particularly impactful change, that one, in my opinion. What I would like to say, as I kind of hinted at before, is that a massive overhaul of the building menus, because they've gotten really unwieldy and it's really difficult to find things, and they could really do with a major refresh, which I guess will happen eventually. They seem to be focused more on the Pipboy, which we're going to touch on in a second at the moment, but hopefully in future those menus will get a major overhaul, because they could definitely do with it. So, speaking of the Pipboy, we are getting a keyring at long last. Tired of all those keys cluttering up your Pipboy? Get organised with the keyring. It's a new item in your miscellaneous inventory tab that stores all of the keys you've collected from your adventures in the wasteland. Click it to view or access any keys in your collection as needed. So, probably never then, because when do you actually need to check your keyring? It's all automated, so you don't really need to. But if that tidies up the miscellaneous tab considerably, which it should do, that's awesome. What we really need now is a passwords folder, so that can compress all of that as well, and maybe a little bit more tidying as well. But in fact, those two things together will go fantastically. But the keyring is a good first step, and hopefully will make it easier to find those things you're looking for in your miscellaneous tab. Still room for improvement, but definitely a nice little addition there. So, we talked about this one on Wednesday, Pipboy menu colour customization. Show your true colours by changing the hue of your Pipboy menus using a new set of customization sliders that we've added to the game's settings. So you see a purple example here that I actually really like that colour. That's quite nice. However, if as per usual, which certainly seems to be the case on PC at the moment, this also changes the colour of your Pipboy torch, then you may want to bear that in mind in your choice, because a dark purple like this, I can testify from my purple power armor headlight, not that great. You can't see much. So if you're wanting to be able to see as much as possible with your Pipboy torch, then just plain old everyday white is the way to go, because it puts out the most light. Which, thank you also here to MebDev, because on the last video he informed me on how to actually do that on PC, which, as it turns out, is not in-game supported. It involves going into the files and modifying things yourself, which is, it is what it is. It's doable, but not exactly a supported thing on PC, so good to have that done. I will be showing that off, no doubt, on stream before too much longer, as very happy to actually be able to see a little more clearly in the dark after all this time. So, something to think about there, but either way, a nice little characterization thing and a fun little update. And last but not least, for the quality of life things on this list anyway, ammo everywhere. Ammo is going to be a darn so easy to get hold of, apparently, which is cool. The contextual ammo system has been a very popular aspect of daily ops. Yeah, needs a little bit of tweaking for those of us with automatic receivers, I think, but in general, it's good. So we'd like to bring it to all of Appalachia, sort of. Now, all existing sources of ammo, like containers and creature loot, have a chance to drop a small amount of ammo for your currently equipped weapon. So this is a little vague. In daily ops, the only ammo you get is for your currently equipped weapon, unless you're using fusion cores, I think. So if you've got a Gatling laser, for example, then those don't tend to drop. But you get them at the end of the op anyway, I suppose, so it's not such a big thing. But it sounds like there'll just be a chance for a little bit of ammo that is specific to your weapon. So I think basically all it's going to do is make more of the ammo you find in the world more useful to you. So that's good, but I don't think it's going to be a life-changing thing. It seems like a small shift towards making the ammo you find more useful. So good, but not over the top, so you'll still probably have to go out and craft things, which on reflection in terms of balance is probably quite a good thing anyway, because if you could suddenly just not have to craft, it's going to eliminate that element of camps and sort of gearing up before you head out on your adventures, which is, I mean, I'm sure there's mixed opinions on whether or not that's a good thing or not. Personally, I think it's a facet of the game, so and the environment and the loop of gameplay. So I think it's probably a good balance there, but again, something we'll have to see when I get my hands on the PTS. As to whether or not I'll do a video on the PTS and dive in and actually take a look at things, we'll see. I'm not sure yet. This is might be interesting to take a look at, but I don't think I'll have a vast amount more to add if I do, so maybe not. We'll have a look and we'll see, I think. So, getting towards the end here with the revised community calendar. So this is also going to make a reference to the video that we did on Wednesday with the revised roadmap. I've been struggling to remember that word the last few days. Don't know why, but there we go. So the revised roadmap, obviously we covered the other day. There's a couple of things been delayed on it, which we're about to touch on. There's also been a new addition to those delays, I'm sorry to say, since Wednesday. So there is yet again another new roadmap up, and of course it's going to get discussed here as predicted. So, as we draw nearer to Night of the Moth update, we've determined that some of the content that we originally announced with our 2021 roadmap, which was back in March to be fair, so predictions at that kind of range, they get a bit iffy. They still need more development and internal testing time before we're ready to bring it to the live game. As a result, we're pushing Camp Pets, Invaders from Beyond event, and 4-star legendary items, this is the one that's been added since Wednesday, into 2022. Whilst we're sure this news will come as a disappointment to some of you, we appreciate your patience and believe the additional time will result in higher quality and more polished features. Despite the scheduling change, there's still plenty of excitement in store for Fallout 76 this year, including Bombs Drop Day festivities, spooky and holiday Scorched events, and of course everything detailed above for the PTS. Catch all of the need-to-know events and dates in our revised community calendar below. So yeah, in addition to Camp Pets and Invaders from Beyond being pushed back, 4-star legendary items are also being delayed now until next year, which is a bit sad. On the other hand, if you've been hoarding your legendary cores and not upgrading the stuff you've got because you're waiting for 4 stars, it gives you the opportunity to upgrade sooner rather than waiting until December to do that, I suppose. So jump in and get cracking, I guess. It's definitely sold it for me. I'll definitely be using mine when I've got a few more to make it worth rolling new items. So definitely going to be doing that. It's a little unfortunate these things have been delayed, but as always, would rather have things delayed and have them take the time to polish them, get them sorted and put them out in the best possible condition, as opposed to having them rushed out half complete and having a whole bag of issues with them. So definitely the lesser of two evils, shall we say there. So having a look at the community calendar, there's not a vast amount I want to go into on this because we've already covered it in the past, and most of the changes are not that profound, but there's a couple of things that are worth a look. So most of it is broadly speaking the same. Some things moved around, the dates have changed. Obviously the next big thing that is a really big thing is the Spooky Scorch seasonal event, which is running from the 19th of October to the 2nd of November. So that's the Halloween seasonal event, 2 weeks long. Very much looking forward to that. Should be good fun. There's a number of different sort of facets to this, so it should be cool. Looking forward to that. Bombs Drop Day on the 23rd. They still haven't shared the details of what festivities they might be engaging in on that, but it sounds like they've got something up their sleeve, so it'll be worth keeping an eye out for that one. Obviously, October 23rd is the anniversary in the game universe of the Great War. It gave us this lovely wasteland, so always worth celebrating, so I'll have to keep an eye on that one. Most of it is fairly standard as we go through November. And into December, we have obviously stuff that is more orientated around Christmas, New Year, and the upcoming update that we've just been talking about. So we see the update 32 and Season 7 are currently slated to arrive, from the look of it, on December the 17th. No, 7th, if I learn to read. December the 7th through to the 14th, somewhere in that week from the look of it. So we've got Season 7 here, which is mentioned for the first time, which is called Sorbo's Revenge. So if you remember, the first season, just over a year ago now, had Captain Cosmos facing off against Dr. Sorbo in the Legendary Run. So it seems that those two characters will be making a return to the season with Season 7. So that should be cool for an interesting theme. Looking forward to seeing that. We've got the Mothman Equinox seasonal event is scheduled also on the 7th, so I think we've got a little extra confirmation on the planned date for now of this update, and that's running through till the 21st, so we've got another 2-week update there. So if we have a look at this, we've got the 2-week on the Mothman Equinox event, and we've also got 2 weeks for the Spooky Scorch seasonal event, and the Holy Scorch event begins on the 21st as well, and will presumably run through until, I'm going to guess, January the 3rd when this ends. It seems likely because that's likely when most of Bethesda staff will get back into the office after the Christmas period. So it looks like there's a trend in the next couple of months of the seasonal events being 2 weeks long rather than 1 week long, which is good because it gives you more opportunities to get those rewards and more opportunities to participate in them. So if this is a shift that is going to be maintained going forward, I hope it will be. I think that would be very, very cool, giving us a few more shots at engaging with those events, especially as, sometimes life gets in the way and you don't get to sink as much time into it as you might like. So that will definitely be very, very cool. So there we go, new set of updates and stuff, looking at the new PTS and all of the updates that are due to come in December. Hopefully in the coming weeks we'll get a little bit more information again on the Spooky Scorch seasonal event, so we can get a look at the Halloween event, which is due now in 18 days. So I'm guessing that will be next week. We'll start getting a look forward at that. So do hit that notification bell if you want to keep up with the news there and see what's happening there. Definitely looking forward to that information. As I say, the delays are a little bit sad, but on the other hand, we'd rather they be delayed, I think, than have them rushed out. So it is what it is. There's still a lot going on between now and Christmas, although maybe not as much as we'd like, but hey, that's the way it goes. There's some cool stuff lined up for next year that we know about now as well, so look forward to hearing more about that. I imagine we'll start to get more information trickling in the beginning of next year as well, so definitely got a lot to look forward to. And of course, way back when, I'm trying to remember when this was, but a while back now, there was an interview that a couple of the leads on the Fallout 76 team did, where they suggested they've got basic plans for what they're going to work on over the next 2 years, or at that time, so 18 months to 2 years, I suppose, now. So there's definitely a lot of stuff that they've got in their minds that they're going to be working on or starting to work on in the future. So it'll be interesting to see what they've got lined up for us. I suspect a lot of the feedback that people have been asking for, and things like Enclave events and more story-based content and stuff like that, are definitely on the list there. But as to when, well, we'll just have to wait and see for now. So yeah. Plenty of cool quality of life changes, definitely some stuff I'm looking forward to there. They're going to make life a lot more interesting and easier and smooth the gameplay out, and definitely things that I think are very, very welcome. And yeah, looking forward to some of the new events as well. So, that was quite long enough, so thank you all very much for watching. Do hope you found it interesting and informative. If you did, please do consider dropping subs and likes and all that good stuff. Do hit those social media links and the merch store as well down below the video, and the channel memberships as well if you're interested in supporting the channel that way. I very, very much appreciate it. Massive thanks to everyone who's done that. And we should probably be jumping back into streaming next week, with the exception of my couple of guest appearances today, so do keep your eye out for those. I'm looking forward to picking that back up and hopefully ready to go on Monday. So, hope to see you there. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.